everyone, and welcome to Transatlantic Watch Party, where Dan and I discuss a TV show that we have watched, because he's in Canada, you see, and I'm in the UK, so we can't watch stuff together, so we watch it separately, and then we get together and we chat about it. And this week, we're chatting about 911-906 Family History, which I think last week I mistakenly told you was going to be called Family Ties.
Oh, okay.
Because then we had that big discussion about Urkel and what you're talking about.
Family Matters. You said Family Matters.
No, Family Matters. Okay, that's probably...
Family Ties is a different American sitcom. That's with Michael J. Fox. I'm like, you didn't talk about that. Yeah.
So confusing. So anyway, it's called Family History. And can I just, as a little treat, I'm just going to tell you in advance that after we've discussed 911, I'm going to tell you about a TV mistake I saw on High Potential, which I think is possibly the best thing I've ever seen.
Okay. Oh, looking forward to that.
Yeah, you're going to be so disappointed when I tell you about it, but I could not believe my eyes, Dan. It was absolutely great.
All right. Which one is that again? That's with
Always Sunny.
Philadelphia. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I am. I do really enjoy High Potential. It's just the usual sort of, the police aren't good enough at their jobs, so they have to get someone else in. You know, I love one of them.
Oh yeah, as my girlfriend calls it, a non-cop helping cop.
Yes.
Right. Exactly about it. Yeah.
I think we have discussed this before, and she is absolutely correct. And can we just say hello to Because Evan is Bi? That is a great name. Because yes, he is. I've done the same thing this week. We sort of discussed it in segments. So, Dan, which would you like to talk about first? The Emergencies, Harry and Buck, Athena, or Hen, or Captain Hahn? We had a lot of plots this week.
Oh yeah, I like that. But let's start with the emergencies, because there's something that happened right at the top that I just couldn't believe. The first emergency.
Was it when the boom mic dropped into shot? Because I couldn't believe that.
I didn't see that. Was that in the park?
Yeah.
I think I've been in the park with the family reunion. Oh my god, I didn't see that. Now I'm gonna have to watch that.
It was right at the line when you cried like a bitch. Sorry for swearing, TikTok, but just at that point, boom mic.
Hilarious. Yeah, I just think it's like every time in this show that we get into a situation in which we don't know any of the characters, this is obviously they're setting us up for an emergency, right? So all I can think, as soon as I realize what it is, I'm thinking, what the hell is this emergency going to be? What could it possibly be? And I'm like, and so we have this guy, he shows up at this family reunion, a very serious family, like the Millers. They all have T-shirts that say the Millers, and they're like, they take this stuff seriously, and they're gonna have a tug of war, I guess, contest between the two of them, which immediately brings me back to Squid Game, and that strategy. Or the strategy for Squid Game. Anyway, and then they have the girlfriend doesn't participate. She's off to the side, right? She's not
conscientious objector.
That's right, yes. And then we have they're just the two sides are just screaming and yelling, they're pulling back and forth. Meanwhile, the girlfriend is on the sidelines choking on a piece of food. And I have to say, I appreciate the fake out. I appreciate
what these things, exactly what I wrote down. I love the emergency fake out. Brilliant work.
Because the whole time they're in tug of war, they're yelling and screaming, they're kind of they're building up to something, right? And then meanwhile she starts choking, and I'm like, is this it? I thought surely this could not be it. It has to be something bigger than this. But the whole point of that is to kind of figure out what the hell this emergency is going to be. And even after it happened, even after the rope breaks and they fall down, I'm like, well, what's the emergency? And then they don't have fingers. They're just oh my god, it was disgusting. It's so gross up by the scene.
It was so gross. It was fantastic. My favorite missing fingers were the mom who was missing these three. So she looked like she was doing and she was like, I can't go around like this forever.
Oh my god.
Absolutely, that was my favorite one. But can I just point out that massive family reunion, I think, seems like a terrifying thing to go to for the way to be introduced to the family.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always in any situation in which I've been dating somebody who's had like a real, even no, I've never dated anybody with that intense of a family, but anything coming close to that, where they get together, they spend a lot of time together, I've always been intimidated. And that's like, yeah, that would not be my ideal first introduction to that family. Let's just have a quiet family dinner with mom and dad first, and then work up to that.
Yeah, and then at least when you go, you know mum and dad. And you know that mum doesn't like vinegar-based potato salads, maybe. Don't bring one. But
I
yeah,
don't get that, but
no, I thought it was just a brilliant follow-up to, oh, call me mom, vinegar-based potato salad. It was like, you've lost her immediately. But yeah, I did think it was... And then, like, the 118 walk in and Buck's all like, hey, we should have a family reunion. And I'm like, have you met your parents? They are not good people. And also, Jimmy doesn't really get on with his dad. I mean, no one have a terrible tendency to, like, try and repair these terrible relationships between the children and their parents. But, like, none of them really get on with anybody. I wouldn't have a family. What are you talking about?
they are the family, right? They are each other's family, the group, right? I just thought it was interesting how casually they were sauntering in there, and they've got people bleeding from their fingers, and they're just like, oh, shut a family ring. It's all nice in here. Look at this stuff. And then people are, oh, and they'll just get there, respond in an emergency way. Your emergency responder, please get there. That was so terrifying to me. I don't know. That whole scene had me like, the whole time. I was not happy with the fingers missing.
Yeah, no, it was very body horror, wasn't it? And there was no sense of urgency. And I loved them all like tiptoeing around and then going, oh, I've got one with a French tip. And the guy who was like, I've called dibs on that one. And Chim's like, sir, you can't just call dibs on a finger. We will find your finger. And when they find out that when we discover the audience that their fingers have been severed, I liked the fact that one of the guys was like, the guy who had like no fingers left went, who can dial 911? Like, it was very, very silly. And then we also get, I mean, it wasn't a dig, it was a joke. There was Eddie did get to deliver the punchline, but when he walked in and he was like, no, I've seen this before, and just went, Afghanistan.
Basically, no. Boy Scout.
Scout Jamboree.
That's right, yeah. So this has to be based on a real thing that happened somewhere, right? This is something that absolutely has to. Yeah.
But I do like the idea of now that Hen has been partnered up with Eddie and she spends more time with him, I like the idea that maybe he talks about Afghanistan a little bit too much. And like every time he turns up so glad, he's like, I've seen this before. When it's the weirdest stuff. Like when we had that cheerleader whose body was, turned back to front. And he was like, oh, I've seen this in Afghanistan. And I've cut I was trained to cut people's legs off in Afghanistan. So for him to be like, yeah, okay, we know you were in Afghanistan. Well,
Yes, exactly.
Amazed that Buck didn't just pop his head into shock going, he's got a silver star, So yeah, that was a good opening emergency. But yes, very
Absolutely.
gross.
Oh, man. I was going for the Bucks for sure.
Yeah, maybe not one to watch while you're eating your dinner.
No, not at all. What was the next one after that? The next emergency?
The next one after that was the kids' overdose.
Oh, yeah.
Which then led into very largely the Athena storyline.
Yeah.
What I was glad. I was like, oh God, no, don't send Athena. But I'm glad they showed the flashbacks. They didn't just expect everyone to know.
Yeah. I mean, how many? I got it. I got what happened. How many seasons ago was that?
First season.
Okay, so it's going way back. But yeah, certainly, even if somebody had watched all the way back, they might not remember exactly what happened, or that her daughter had an OD similar experience, right? She
was bullied.
Yeah.
And so
almost the exact circumstances, right?
Sorry?
I said almost the exact same circumstances that we find in this situation, right?
Yeah. And there was a and I think as well because they've changed networks, so maybe they were like, we've finally got new people. And then I go, did they have to like pay Fox for the footage?
Yeah.
Even though I don't know how any of it works, but like
I think they'd probably have it all, given that all the TVs are available on Disney Plus and stuff like that, so they have access to the higher things. Okay. It's interesting.
But yeah, I was glad they showed the flashbacks. And then, Dan, something very exciting happened, which I made me think of you. The paramedics turned up and they weren't from the 118.
That's exactly what I wrote here. Exactly what I said. It's Athena and not the 118? Huh? How is this possible? No, there's no way. It could be. I don't even know these paramedics. I have no idea who these people are.
Yeah.
They're showing up.
Who the hell are these paramedics? And they're not real. They've just bought that uniform. Check out their credentials.
But it's okay because it was enough. Athena was able to save the girl's life because she had I don't know what it was that she sprayed up her nose. Oh, is that what that is? Okay. And so what does that do? It's like
it counteracts an overdose of anything. Like if you've had they carry it at like big music festivals and all sorts of stuff. I mean, police carry it and ambulance crews carry it and everybody carries it. Just in case, because it counteracts an overdose. I don't think they had it when May's overdose happened. Because it was like 9 years ago. It's like 8 or 9 years.
Pretty recent thing.
Yeah. But yes, it's a very, very handy thing. And some people just get it and carry it around in their purse. Do you know what I mean? Just in case they run into somebody, and I think that's a fantastic thing to do. So yeah, and then that leads into like Athena's whole plot, and then the third emergency was the like private health clinic spa where the lady had gone for her 40th birthday to get the peace of mind checkup.
Yeah,
not much peace of mind.
No, and I honestly, as soon as I realized CAT scan, I'm like, oh no, she's got. I thought it was gonna be some kind of metal in her body or something like that, right? Like a plate in her skull that she forgot about or wasn't told about or something like that, and something like that. Then it was gonna get pulled out of her body by the magnets in this CT scanner. And I wrote down, didn't we used to call that a CAT scanner? CAT scan is what we used to say. So now it's a CT scan.
Yeah, I think some people do still call it a CAT scan.
Okay. Anyway.
And she is obviously having an allergic reaction. And I'm amazed it took the 118 as long as it did for them to come in and see a woman who has no airway and her entire face is puffed up and not immediately go, she thinks she's having an allergic, she thinks this anaphylaxis.
Right.
So all I wrote down was, fuck you, doc, because he takes that phone call and doesn't listen to his patient.
Yep.
Unbelievable negligence. And then, like, when we see him later on, I'm like, how have you not been fired? A woman died! Like, I'm still there.
Like, I think this whole thing is kind of a shot at privatized medicine and saying, like, this is what happens when there's no oversight or regulation or anything, and you can just kind of, like, buy this equipment, and if you're a doctor, you can, do this kind of thing. I mean, he's like,
private medicine is bad, and we should criticize it. And this doctor isn't doing his job properly, and this is medical negligence. And Hen, maybe you'd like to use it.
what I don't get is what Hen is like immediately hostile to the whole situation. Like, what as soon as they get in there and they realize what this is. She doesn't like any of it. She's snappy at the doctor from the start, even though the doctor's not helping. But is there something that in her background that makes her feel this way? Is she not a fan of privatized medicine or something?
Well, I don't know. She did do her medical training. She was training to be a doctor. But also, Hen is going through some stuff. And so, she's got the shakes and she's got the rash. And so I don't know whether some of her snappiness is due to that. But also, I wrote down, and I don't know, how long since we lost a patient? I can't think of the last time they lost a patient.
Not in 5-star. I made a note of that they haven't. I was going to ask you how long it has been since they actually lost a patient.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, we had a number at the beginning. We had the two guys who the couple, the gay couple who died together. Essentially, one was hit by a car, and then one had a heart attack and died alongside him. And there was a girl who Hen hit with the ambulance, like in her car. They were in a collision. So she actually and then there was the guy who, do you remember that? Oh, she was like a townsperson, like a Councilwoman Ortiz, I think she was.
Oh yeah,
That guy died. Her son died. But he'd refused treatment, so it wasn't like they lost someone, I'm sure it was still very upsetting. But yeah, I was struggling to think, when the last time they'd been fighting to get someone back, I liked that she said you can't shock asystole. That's always nice to, put in there because we see them do that all the time. I mean, last week we saw them shock a guy who wasn't even dead.
That's right. That's right.
One of my favorite things that's ever happened.
Suspended buff. And yeah, that was funny.
And that was all of the emergencies. That was all the 3 emergencies. So should we go on to Athena now? Because
because she ties right to the OD thing. And so we learn that this again, it's the same circumstance as her daughter. This girl's been being bullied. She's receiving anonymous texts. Is that what this is from some thing? So my immediate response is, why wouldn't she just block the number? Like, oh no, is there? They explained it, didn't they?
There's an app. There's an app called Phantom Phone or something. Because I was like, when she spoke to one of the girls, and the girl's like, "Here's my phone, look at it." I'm like, well, you were obviously using a different phone. You have like a burner phone. Because I didn't know, apps like this. But yeah, so we see her talking. She's there with her mum. She's in the hospital bed. Her mum's there, and we see her talking to Athena. And I'm afraid the minute the mum was like, we'll get through this together, I was like, oh, the mum did it.
Oh, you did? Oh, I had no idea. It took me by surprise. I didn't expect that at all. But I guess it's kind of like another situation like the Munchausen by proxies kind of thing, where the people poison kids to keep them sick.
Well, it was the double whammy. I thought was, and it kept coming back up when she's talking to the girls, in the police station when she's interviewing them. One of them said, "Oh, everything changed when we got back from our college applications and whatever, going to look at colleges." And when she talked to Bailey, is that her name, Bailey? She said, "I don't know what happened. It's like we were talking, one minute we were talking about how we were going to decorate our room at college, and the next she wasn't talking to me." And I was like, oh, her mum doesn't want her to leave. She's trying to like keep her here, either by making it seem like she doesn't have any friends and now she's massively unpopular, or but yeah, she's trying to stop her kid from going to college because she doesn't.
He's break up that friendship that with Bailey, so that she doesn't want to go off to college with her. Oh, well, I didn't pick up on any of that. I was just kind of following along with Athena as she gets to do whatever the hell she wants in her job. Like, she has no, like, she just kind of investigates any call she comes across. Oh, I'm going to look into this. I'm going to go investigate this whatever this. Okay, what is it? It's just bullying. She's investigating bullying, basically.
Yeah, but I mean, it did lead to somebody actively trying to take their own life. So I think that becomes a crime. I'm not sure, but what I was interested in was the first 3 girls she spoke to were in the police station and they had their parents or guardians with them, which seems like that's the right way to handle things. And then she just jumps on Bailey getting off a bus, and I'm like, shouldn't she have like an adult with her? Isn't
it like she knew about her?
Yeah,
right. She didn't.
But she didn't. But it was like, I mean, it's like whenever anyone, whenever I'm watching like a police drama with my mum, and anyone goes in, and the cops go, "Okay, you're gonna have to come in and talk to us," and I'm like, "Ask for your lawyer." Like, even if you haven't done anything, even if you don't know what this is about, you ask for your lawyer. But yeah, talking to an underage girl, I thought that was. I thought you had to have like a parent or a guardian there. I thought that was kind of how it worked. But she's just like, no, I'll just pull up my my car behind. I'll just wait for her. It'll be fine. Won't freak her out completely. But they did end up getting on, so that's quite nice. You know.
Yeah, and then she learns that like really it's not Bailey, and she encourages her to go visit her at the hospital, which is nice, you know, and says she could use a friend. So Bailey does show up there later. So yeah, that was an interesting story. And so throughout this, she's of course remembering what happened to her daughter and that whole experience. And I can't remember what else is going on with Athena.
Well, no, that's everything that's going on with Athena. But we do see her and May having dinner at like May's little dig at, you know, like, oh, I thought when you invited me around for dinner it would be like a home cooked meal, and Athena was like, why would you think that? I'm not cooking anymore. But you could cook, and she's like, you invited me. I thought that was very nice. Also, we learned that May is now 21 because she's drinking. And they talk about the incident. May worked for a while in season 5, I think, at the call center at 911 dispatch. She took like a gap year. She delayed going to college, and she went and worked at dispatch for a year. And she heard her 911 call. Like she handled a call that was very similar to her own. And then I think they allowed her, for some reason, to go back through and listen to her mum calling 911 for her. And what I loved about that is, like, the first time we saw it on the telly, it was like a female 911 dispatcher. And then the second time we saw it, it was like a male, different voice going, 911, what's your emergency? And I was like, come on, guys. But yes, so May and Athena having that conversation about what happened makes Athena realize who's been doing the bullying. And then she goes round to the mum's house with the most weak-ass excuse of like, well, it turns out we can check the IP address, and so we can find out, where it came from. So let's look at your phone first, and then we can look at the actual suspect.
She's still trying to pretend. And I think like that, the woman, I mean, she's a good actor because she did a great job of looking nervous as hell, right? Like she was just, oh, I gotta go get it, bye. And I thought she was gonna be gone. I honestly thought she was like out the window and running away. I thought that's what was gonna happen.
No, instead, what she decided to do was the slowest suicide attempt. I shouldn't say that word on TikTok, we'll get banned, but the slowest, way of like that's it was an odd decision to make. Like, how long did she think it was going to take before Athena was like, hello?
Yeah, exactly, right? It takes her, and then like, I was given away because the phone started ringing, right? Her phone started ringing, so Athena found it and realized what had happened. I actually don't think they need your phone to do that. I think they can find out what an IP address is, where it is, without looking at your phone, right? Doesn't an IP address just gives you a location? So they could tell based on...
I when she walked away, I thought she was going to like hide the burner phone, because I know they mentioned the app, but I still thought that maybe the mum wouldn't know about the app because she's my age, and I wouldn't know about stuff like that. So maybe she wouldn't know either, and maybe she did have a burner phone. So that's what I thought she was walking away for. And then, no, she was sitting in the bathroom trying to quietly die very slowly.
I thought she was going to quickly delete the app or whatever on like that. I thought she was going to quickly like go through and delete, and then bring it out. Here you go, no problem. Anyway, I don't know. You're right. It was a weak excuse, and she saw through it immediately. Mom saw through it immediately, and didn't know what else to do, and just tried to end it quickly, but it didn't. That's not the quickest way to do that. And then Athena took her in, and so then the daughter shows up at the hospital later to confront her now that she's been informed of all this, and she knows what happened, and basically just tells her mom to stay out of her life. Like, that's it. She's done with her, cutting her out, and goodbye. Cut my life over without you.
Yeah, and then walks off with Bailey into the sunset. I did like that Athena, she went, I need to hear it. I need her to explain it. And Athena said, you need to be aware that what she tells you is probably going to be a lie. And she says, "Oh, I need to hear it from her." And I'm like, that was a good, yeah, I need her to lie to my face so that I know that she really is a piece of work that I should not have in my life. But the way the mum reacts to her walking in, like, "Hi, it's so nice to," like, why would you think that she'll be pleased to see you? And I think, yeah, I needed to show you how scary the world can be. She's a teenager. She already knows. She's online enough to have already been at least slightly bullied. You didn't need to take it that far.
No, clearly the mother has issues.
Yeah. Did not want to be an empty nester. And then we got a little bit of Athena and the kids at the firehouse. And I liked it when they were looking at the plaque. Because I don't know if that's the first time Athena's been back there since they put the plaque up, because we know famously she wasn't at the plaque.
She was avoiding it, yeah.
Yeah, she was out on a fake date. And she May said, "Oh, what do you think he'd," and what do you think he'd like it? And she goes, "I think he'd be terribly embarrassed." But secretly, like inside, he'd really love it. But I liked that she'd be like, "Yeah, he'd be mortified," because that sounds about right. And of course, we'll go on to Captain Harm, because spoiler alert, because that's what that ceremony was for. And the very first scene of the show was him looking at the other people who might be captain, because the chief had asked him to look over it. And I loved that. First of all, we discovered that Maddie has friends
other than the ones that are on the show.
Yeah, and I always love that. I always love it when we find out that other people, that they have other friends. I'm like, oh, that's so nice to know that you're in a book club. I love that. And she has her bag on her shoulder. She doesn't have her bag on her shoulder. She has her bag on her shoulder. That was lovely. I was really enjoying that.
Oh, okay.
And so he's looking at these pictures, and he's like, I don't really know who to pick. And she goes up and picks up a picture of him and G. She's like, maybe this guy. And I thought that was lovely, because, yeah, Maddie, it should be Chim. And then like, she sort of encourages him to maybe talk to the 118 about it and see, how do they feel? And instead he walks into a very weird conversation about protein drinks. And is like, guys, you were great today, and I'm proud of you, and bye. And like, I love that Buck's immediate reaction was like, is he retiring? Because I was like, is he dying? It was so awkward.
It was very awkward. And Hensley just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, and then Eddie's like, yeah, let's leave before he tries to do that again. That's just, I'm not here for any of that. And so I don't think that's what Maddie meant at all, Jim, but well done for trying. And then we see that he has been to dinner with the chief. So we're like, obviously, it would seem he's put his hat back in the ring. And then we get his ceremony, which is his shield ceremony, which is very lovely. And it was good to see Athena there. And I was very excited to see the Lees, because I love them dearly. Do you know who the Lees are?
I assume
not Chimney's parents, but they are G and Bobby's grandparents in my mind, and I'm sure because when Chim was born in Korea, he came over to America with his mum. I think I'm right about this, and his mum passed away, and he was taken in by his friend Kevin, his family, Kevin Lee. And Mr. and Mrs. Lee were brilliant parents and wonderful people, and we love them very much. And he and Kevin decided to join the fire department together because they used to work in a karaoke bar and set on fire, and Chimney like saved everybody, and he was like, oh my god, I could do this. And then Kevin was like, that sounds really exciting, let's do it together, yeah. and they got put in different houses. So they were really disappointed because they really wanted to work together. And Chin was with the 118, and then he and Kevin were on the same job. Like a 5-alarm fire. So all the different people turn up, and they were venting the roof, and Kevin fell through and died.
Oh.
It was terrible. It was awful. It was very upsetting. But he still lived with the Lees. Like, he still goes around for dinner and celebrates Kevin's birthday with them. And they are very much, when G was born, it was like, okay, because Maddie's parents are over in Pennsylvania and nobody wants to ask them to come and babysit. That would be horrendous. So but the Lees are always like turning up to babysit and stuff. So they're the best. Love the Lees. I liked that the chief said, when he first told me he wanted to be the captain, I had one thing came into my mind. What the hell took you so long? It was nice to get a dig in there. And then the 118 gave him a watch. Do you remember what it said on the back of the watch?
No.
It said, the 118, it's not just a number, it's us. Which I think is what he said in that speech that he gave, when he was like, Eddie, you're not leaving Buck, and nobody's leaving.
Yeah.
118 is not just a number, it's us.
Yeah.
But caveat to that, the us is clearly only Hen, Eddie, Buck, Rafi, and Chib. The rest of the 118 can go and jump off a cliff for all they care.
Yeah. No.
I mean, if you all work together and then 4 of you buy your boss a very expensive watch, the rest of you are going to be like brown noses. I could have chipped in a $5, but you didn't ask. And now he's walking around with a thing that says, oh, it's not just a number, it's us, but it's only you 5.
That's the real number, 5. 5 people.
There must be a real split in that firehouse. Okay, so we've done Captain Howard, we've done. Should we go to Hen? Because the Harry Book one was the biggest story, I think. So
let's go to Harry Buck first and end with Hen, because the episode ends with Hen.
Yes, that's a good point.
Let's do that.
So the first thing we see of Harry and Buck is Harry turning up at Buck's house, and Buck immediately being terrified that he's in trouble with Athena.
Buck, again, as I said last week, he's very self-centered, and in this entire conversation, he seems to be only worried about himself and does not seem to be concerned about Harry's.
Okay, so you're joining the fire department, but that means that Athena's going to be mad at me.
I'm the one that took you out, and he's like, that's what I thought. Like, he's like, I know everything. Like, it's like a regular thing that happens, and when he takes somebody out on a run or whatever, they get so inspired they would go out and join. It's probably happened before with some of Buck's friends, because I assume he has friends as well.
And
No,
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know if any of them, we never hear about them.
You don't.
Concerns me. They're so insular, and then something bad happens, like Bobby happens, and then everything falls apart. So yeah, we get that. Then we get, obviously, everybody's favorite thing, a training montage.
Yes, that was good. And it kind of reminded me of Backdraft, right? That similar scene in Backdraft where one of the Baldwins is being trained by Kurt Russell, I believe. That's a really good movie. I should watch that one. But what occurred to
so long, but now we watch Now One together. Maybe we should watch Backdraft together at some point while maybe we should watch that and talk about that while it's off air.
Other fighter themed movies. What occurred to me as I'm watching this is that in the time we've been watching this show, like a season and a bit now, they have not responded to very many fires. Like this fire crew does not respond to a lot of fires in this show. It just does not seem to happen. I think there was one last season. I can remember one when they had the tower out and they were spraying down.
Yeah, we got very excited about it. And I did say, this is the first fire we've fought in forever. But that's how it works. Most fire calls are medical.
Are they?
Yeah, apparently so. And that's weird for me because we don't combine the two departments. Like, so our fire like, goes to fires and like, yeah, like structural damage and cats stuck up trees and whatever. Something you need a ladder for. And our ambulance service is completely separate, you know. So quite a lot of, you know, fire department things over in America, as I understand it, are medical calls. There's not as many fires as you think. They're just, they sort of clean up everything, you know, car accidents, pile-ups, you know, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I'm familiar. That's the same way it is here as well. And I think that kind of became the way it is out of necessity, because the firefighters were always the fastest at responding to these calls, no matter what. And they would just like 911, we're going to send everybody who needed to this call. And the firefighters just were always showing up first. They figured we should train these guys on how to be paramedics. And then they just started running paramedics with them anyway. And so I think that's just kind of how it happened.
No wonder the police hate them so much.
Anyway, yeah, it was a great training montage. Harry working hard to go ahead.
Sorry, can I just say, you thought of Backdraft. I thought of Team America World Police.
Oh, I've never seen that movie.
Oh my God, there's a song. Need a montage.
Is there? Okay.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And so that's a move. So as they were doing that whole thing, I just had that song in my head. It was fantastic. It was very funny, and you, for the first time, got to experience Clipboard Buck.
Oh, I see. Yes, I get what you're saying. Yeah, he was helping him train, quizzing him and pretending to interview him on stuff like that, basically helping to practice his answers. I find it hard to believe that through all of this, because he goes through the little process. Okay, no, you tell me about Clipboard Buck. Do you have any more thoughts on Clipboard Buck before we move on?
Just that he's a menace. I was just very excited to see him. I'm always excited to see Clipboard Buck. He's the worst and therefore the best. So that's the only thing I had about Clipboard Buck. I was just pleased that you got to see him.
Yeah, but in the end, so he goes through it all and he goes into his interview and he's like, they asked the questions you asked. Everything was good. Yeah.
Then I have other things about the montage.
Okay,
so first of all, I liked it when Buck said, you know, why do you want to be a firefighter? And he was like, because I want to make the world a better place. And he said, are you applying to be a firefighter or Miss Universe? That was funny. I liked it when Buck said, take the next right when they were doing hills. Take the next right, we need groceries. That was also funny. And then I noticed that Harry definitely needs better treads on his trainers. If he's going to keep falling over when he's going around that corner, he needs different, better trainers.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and then what you're talking about was what I thought was going to be another fake out, and it turned out not to be. So it was like a double bluff fake out.
Well, it kind of was, but in the end, it was just like it was his own decision to. I don't think he actually failed anything, but it came up in the interview that he has a criminal record.
Yeah.
The problem is that he has a criminal record, and did this happen in the show? This thing we're talking about.
That's why Harry came back. Like, when was it? Beginning of season 7 that Harry came back. So you hadn't seen him, and we had a great moment when Harry came back, because this is not the original actor. We've had an actor change for Harry, and he was basically staying with his dad, Michael Grant. And then he got into trouble with the police and he like ran away to Athena's. And Athena was like, well, now you've crossed state lines, you absolute moron, you know, and that's, you know, why he was released. Right. They figured it out because she's a cop, you know. It's like, but, yeah, he was underage, you know, he wasn't an adult, you know, or anything. So, but then when he came back, different actor, nothing happened. And then in that same episode, we had this awful storyline about a woman who shot her son because she thought he was breaking into the house because she didn't recognize him.
Oh, okay.
Dementia or something, you know. Oh, just terrible. And Athena and Hen were talking, and Hen went, "Oh my God, can you imagine your son turning up and you not recognizing him?" And Athena said, "Actually, I can." What she meant was, now he's got a criminal record, and I didn't know anything. Nobody told me that when it happened, you know. So now he's a different guy. He's like a violent dude now. But what I heard was, he looks very different. So I thought that was a really nice moment. But yeah, so because when he walked out and he was all like sad looking, I thought he's gonna be like, Buck's like, was the hose drag, wasn't it? No. Was it this? No. And I was waiting for him to go, it was nothing, I'm in, yay. And he didn't do that. Instead, he said, they asked me one question I liked and I didn't like, and I gave up.
Well, and I wasn't even clear if they came to him with like, oh, we found this on your criminal record, or they asked him in the thing, do you have a criminal record? Regardless, and but the thing is though, at any point, like, you're guaranteed at some point in this process to have to get a criminal record check. Everyone is, like, everyone who applies for any city position in any job like this would have to get that done, right? Yeah. It's very sad.
Serving the public, I think they're gonna check that, and it's very true that Buck never mentioned it to him because he just didn't think that Harry had a criminal record, so he never thought to bring it up.
Yeah.
But no, they asked him, and do you have a criminal record? And then he had to be like, yes. Then they were going to look into it and see if it was like a disqualifying kind of criminal record, which it might not have been if he'd just given them 5 minutes. And I don't know if that looks worse. You throwing your hands up and going, oh, then I won't do it. Whether therefore they'll be like, well, we don't want that kind of guy in the fire academy who just gives up at the drop of a hat. Or whether they'll be like, well, we don't want a guy with a criminal record in it. I don't know which is worse. He didn't even give them a chance to be like, we've looked, and, it happened when you were a kid, and there was sort of a justifiable action for it. It was self-defense, blah, 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 blah. That could have happened. He just didn't give it a chance to.
Yeah, I get the feeling that he has, like, I mean, he also dropped out of high school because he didn't like it. Like, he does this sense of things, right? Like, he just kind of makes these decisions. So, he's walked.
Oh, Harry, it's not looking good for you, man. But also, one of the things that was obviously on his mind was they would have to contact his parole officer, and his parole officer is actually Athena, because court put him in under Athena's care because she's a cop. Now, and he didn't want her to know that he was doing the fire academy, that he had his test coming up, because he wanted to go to her with a win, which I completely get. So actually what he pulled out for was because he didn't want them to call his mummy.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because he's just as scared of her as Buck is. And I thought, and he said, but now nobody needs to know. Nobody knows I've taken the test, and nobody needs to know I failed it. And I did write down, you didn't fail. You gave up.
Yeah, exactly. He's already failed in his mind, though, right? That's the thing. Is like he's already kind of built this. Like, there's no point in continuing. He's just giving up. And that, I mean, it's consistent with his character, but it's good that Buck doesn't let him, basically, yes. Right? And forces them. And I just want to know, like, what did he tell him to get him to go to the restaurant? Like, were they just going to go for dinner or something like that? Was that the...
Yeah, they hang out now. They do Bachelor Mondays and stuff. So I reckon he was just like, hey, let's go out to dinner. You're feeling a bit shitty about yourself. Let's go out to dinner. And, like, have a steak or whatever. But I think... the thing that he said about, Bobby, he had this vein in his neck.
Oh,
he used to say when he talked about you. It's like, yeah, he did.
This is what he was talking about. Yes, that was a great moment. Because he somehow, so Buck has found out where the fire chief is having dinner.
Very weird. Did not like that at all. A little bit of stalking. No.
Yeah, and so I don't know how he found that out, but and by the way, he's out with Chimney. We'll get to that in a second. But we already got to that actually. But he's out for dinner with Chimney. We find out later. But yeah, they just kind of approach him like on the street. A lot of people approaching people on the street in this episode, right? Athena's doing it with that girl. Got this.
People are known, man.
I don't know. People never approach me on the street about anything anymore. Like, it just doesn't happen. And even the part where Tina goes to that woman's house and says, "I just thought I'd stop by." Like, I don't think they do that. Oh, maybe they do. Maybe the point of that was to catch her off guard. But anyway, it was a very casual kind of encounter. Anyway, she does basically encourages Harry to go to the chief and ask for another chance, and the chief gives him another chance. Which is
and I did like that conversation. I did think Harry put his case across really well. He said all the right things, which if he'd given them a chance to sort of maybe ask those questions further in the, I mean, I don't think they went, do you have a criminal record? And you went, right, I'm out. I don't think he ran out of his. That would make him look very like he had a really serious criminal record. You know what I mean? But he's able to put his case to the fire chief, which, if he was anyone else, there's a little bit of nepotism going on here. If he was anyone else, he wouldn't have the opportunity to do that, and I don't really think that's fair. But he did put his case very well. I did like what Buck said about Bobby never let him give up on himself. But what I was thinking about was there was a previous episode years ago where Buck did something stupid on a rescue mission on a rescue where they were all told to leave, but he was with a guy who he desperately wanted to save, understandably, and he was like, I'm not walking out of here. And so he was trying to lift this heavy thing, with a rope off this guy, and he's like, it was very dramatic. It was in a fire, unbelievably. It was a fire, and he was pulling the thing, and sweat dripping down his knees, screaming. It was very cinematic. It was beautiful. And then all these other hands appear, so the rest of the 118 have come back in, and they all save this guy. And somebody, I think Athena, says, "Oh, you were just being Buck." And he goes, I don't know what that means. And she said, it means you don't give up. So in this, he was being a bit Buck with Harry. Mm-hmm. So he was being very himself, but for good reasons, for somebody else. Mm-hmm. And then Chimney walked out of the restaurant looking tasty as hell. That is a fine man there. Yeah. So Harry is going to start at the Fire Academy. What I find weird is I didn't know they did that test to get into the academy. I thought that was the end of the academy, that you did that test.
No, there's a physical. There's a thing you do. My brother for a while wanted to be a firefighter, and he was going out for that kind of stuff and training for the Ash. He didn't end up doing it, but yeah, there was here in Canada anyway. They do have something similar
because on night one, Nashville, one of those guys did it at the end of his cadetship, okay. Or so I was like, oh, I didn't realize that's what you did just to get into the academy. It makes sense to make sure you could do the stuff before they waste all that money training you. But yeah. So then we have Hen, and that was a slightly less happy ending potentially.
It was a very this was the weirdest of the storylines because I didn't understand a lot of what was happening, but maybe just because I don't know Hen very well because I haven't been watching the show. Did her behavior make sense to you in this episode?
Yes. It didn't make sense to me that she didn't tell anybody. That bit didn't make any sense. That's
what I'm talking about mainly. Yeah. But I know that she's having symptoms, and I get that. Okay, well, do you want to start when do we first see this? Is it when we go? They're responding to the CT scan emergency. Okay, sorry.
It's the awkward conversation with Chim in the all glass changing room. I always think that all glass changing room is the most ridiculous thing. When Hen first joins, she's the only woman, and they're like, well, you can just get changed in here like everyone else. And she's like, well, everybody's naked in front of everyone, so what's the point, So, and they're talking, and Hen asks them if they've changed their gloves.
Oh, yes, we've got a bit of a rash. Right, yeah.
And Buck tells her to put beef tallow on it, which I'm sure... famously vegan Oliver Stark was thrilled about. I have to big up beef tallow. That's so against what I stand for.
It shuts down pretty quickly. So there we go.
And then she has the shakes in the CT scan. Yeah. Emergency. And the doctor spots it. And
I think Buck spotted it as well. I think Buck noticed, but didn't say anything.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
There's something happening there because he kind of glanced, and I'm sure there was a thing where she was shaking while she was trying to. Oh, well, she's trying to get the tube down the person's throat, right?
I think anyone saw it, and one of the other reasons I think that is because in the advert for the next episode, they're like delivering a baby, and she's got the shakes again. And she says to Eddie, "Put your glove up, like you're going to have to catch this baby." And he's going, "What? Why?" So he obviously still doesn't know what's going on. I mean, at least Chin didn't spot it, because that man can't keep a secret for love nor money.
Yeah, he was just sitting there talking to the guy about like, was it this? Was it this? Was it this? He's trying to figure out what's wrong with her, right? They're all freaking trying to save her life, and he's just like kind of casual, like, could it be this? How about this?
I think he's enjoying not being a paramedic anymore.
He doesn't have to worry about it. He can just sit there and kind of assess the whole situation, right? Yeah, it's nice.
He's like, I don't need to do this. I just cut a woman's leg off like a week ago, so you guys can handle this. That's fine. Hen, you were in space. You deal with this. And so the doctor notices, and everyone else has left, or are leaving, and she's like, he says to her, "Is everything okay?" Which is, a perfectly legitimate question to ask. And she says, "Are you diagnosing me?" And I was like, did he mention a diagnosis?
Well, that's what I was talking about. She was very, very hostile towards him, and I just wondered if there was some kind of thing with her and these types of clinics that she was angry about or something. I don't know.
I don't think it's clinic specific, but I just think that she's terrified. And she says to him, "You scam people and credit cards," which was very like, "Oh, ouch, burn." Well done. And then we see her talking to her mum on the phone. Good old Tony. We haven't seen her for a while, but she's there on the phone. Except not good old Tony, because she forgot her daughter's birthday last season.
Right. I think that's the last time we saw her.
That's the last time we saw her, was when she was on that FaceTime call with Hen, yeah. And she's asking about her medical family history, because the woman at the CT scan place, she hadn't filled in her family history.
Okay.
And she was like asking her mom about the family history, and she was playing it off as like it was a school thing. And I was like, okay. And I understand why Denny and Mara would just fill in your family history. But I just want you to know, Hen, if it's for actual medical reasons, they're not your family. Like,
yeah, they're not genetically related to you, right? Yeah.
I wouldn't want to put like an adopted kid through a whole thing of like, if they get homework from the school, to be like, "What's your family medical history?" Like, A, why are you asking? But B, like, let's not go into that. Let's just go with the family that they're with. Their family now. But I did like that she was like, "Oh, didn't Uncle Dennis like have a stroke?" Oh, after he was hit by a car. Okay, that's fine. And then she passed out. And I don't know what time it was that she passed out, but by the time she woke up, it was dark.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a couple hours. I took it as a couple hours.
Yeah.
On her way out.
Yeah.
She's on her way out to meet up with her wife and kids. They're out somewhere. And so then they're calling her because she hadn't shown up on time, right? That's basically the situation that she wakes up into.
Yeah. And she immediately lies to Karen. She's like, "Oh, I got..."
Yeah, why do you think you did that?
Sometimes when it's somebody who has this kind of job, you get a medical condition, you're gone. Like, you are going to lose your job. That's your family. I can understand being scared of that. But I can also, all I can ever think when we get this kind of plot line is there's a reason for that. You can't have that job if you're going to be passing out. Like, it's just, right. Or you could have it as long as people know that's a possibility. Mm-hmm. But people have to be aware, like, you can't just walk onto a medical crisis scene or a fire when you're not well, when you're going to fall over, or, and you don't know, and you've got, like they have it with surgeons in Grey's Anatomy and stuff, when they've got like shaky hands, and they pretend they don't have shaky hands, and so negligent. It's so dangerous. You're putting people at risk. I don't like it.
But I think it's also like, I've noticed it's kind of similar behavior as Harry, right? Where he didn't want to tell Athena about his training. She didn't want to tell because he was afraid of it being bad news. She doesn't want to tell anybody around her about what's wrong because she's afraid it's gonna be bad news.
Yeah,
right? She doesn't want to like.
And I get that. I absolutely do understand that. It's because nobody wants it to be bad news, but I just think if you've spent your, she like retrained, she had a whole career and a job and everything, and she retrained to go and be, a paramedic, a firefighter and a paramedic. She obviously cares a lot about her patients and whatever. And I kind of go, just take 20 minutes to sit down and think about this, please. Because if you're a risk factor in any way, you need to tell people. But I get it. I get that, dichotomy of thought. I completely understand why she's terrified. But she doesn't tell Karen. And then, but then we have an interesting conversation with Maddie at Captain Hart swearing in, where she pretends to be talking about a patient that they had, and it's herself. And she's
I mean, Maddie doesn't speak through it somehow. I don't know how. Maybe Maddie does. I don't know. Maybe that'll happen later. But it seemed pretty obvious. Let herself.
Well, to ask it just after she's fallen down the stairs, like, okay, let's talk about this other patient, shall we? Wink. I myself was disappointed that they started with Lyme, they went to fibromyalgia, and they never mentioned ME. Because fibromyalgia and ME and POTS, fainting disease, are very highly comorbid. And a lot of people who think they have ME have Lyme. So I was like, come on! We're going to get a mention! And then we never got a mention, and I was very upset. I mean, she hadn't mentioned tiredness. And a lot of people think that is all that chronic fatigue syndrome is. But it's not. It's muscle pains and aches and, and postural issues and blood pressure problems and gastrointestinal stuff and brain stuff. It's everything. It is multi-systemic. But when you're being tested, they test you for Lyme and they test you for thyroid issues. So the other stuff that they were talking about, I was like, oh, this is the perfect moment to mention my disease. Come on.
Oh, man. You should write into them.
Yeah.
Right into them.
Yeah. Please, can we have an emergency with someone with ME? That'd be great. Thanks. Love you. Bye. If you need an actress to play it, I'm available.
Or it's not continuity errors.
Yeah. P.S. I can only work for 2 hours a day, but I'm sure you can work around it. Yeah, and so she has that discussion with Maddie. They don't really figure anything out, but Maddie says something about, oh, it's a pity you can't fit in a CT machine in an ambulance. And Hen goes, oh, I wouldn't give to get my hands on one of them. And then she does that looking into the distance thing.
Is that honestly kind of the same look Athena got when she figured out who was texting the girl, right? Like, oh, something's going on in there.
It's the look that Morgan gets when she figures out a crime on High Potential. And me and my mum watched 3 episodes of House together until she got to the point where she couldn't watch him make that face anymore. She's like, oh, he's figured it out. Yeah. So we always get that. And then she goes back to Dr. Brett, a doctor who just killed someone.
Oh boy. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Sorry.
A wad of cash, essentially.
And honestly, at this point in the show, I was still unclear. I didn't quite clue into what had killed the girl who had gone in. It was the dye, right? She was an allergic reaction to the dye. That's what it was. Yeah. Plain and simple. Wasn't anything else.
Her throat closed up, and she couldn't breathe, and she died. Yeah. Yeah, it was that flat.
Yeah. But I was just like, why go back to the same place? There's got to be other places that do this. Right? It's Los Angeles. There's got to be a few places that do this. Go to a different one, or the guy isn't an asshole. Because she goes right back to and she's just so snarky with him when she goes in there. Give the guy a break. He's actually doing a service for you now, right? And then
he goes, oh, you don't want to tell anyone. And I'm like, dude, the kind of service that you run You must see 30 people a day who are there because they don't want to tell anyone.
Yeah. That's why they go to you.
Yeah, but, I mean, yeah, there are other doctors and better doctors than that guy and other places, but they've already got that set and they've paid that actor, so, you know. Because, and that's not a because plot thing, because plot-wise it didn't make any sense. Because money. That was, you know.
Because budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we've already built that set. And that was the end of the episode with her going into the CT machine. And now we have to wait until the 8th of January to find out what's happening.
That is weird. I gotta tell you, that's like 6 episodes and we're done. That's very, very odd. But I guess that's the nature of TV in the modern age, right? This is just what happens.
But also, we don't know. We're all the fans are. We've not had it confirmed, but we're all talking as though it's going to be a 3-part series. Because we think they're taking a break for the Olympics.
Oh, right.
And so we think they're doing 9A, which is 6 episodes, 9B, which is 6 episodes, and 9C, which is 6 episodes.
Okay.
The only thing with that, if you have to write a TV show like that, is what you've got there is a 6-episode series, a 6-episode series, and a 6-episode series. Like, there's that lot between
for you.
No.
That's what you guys always do, but we over here, like, I'm used to, like, honestly, especially shows like this, they used to do like 24 episodes a season, right? Yeah. For something like this, they see way more, and they would run from September right through until probably Thanksgiving, just before Thanksgiving, which is still like a week away, I think. I don't know when it is. Like right at the end of the month, I think. But I'm already sick of it. I can't tell you like how sick I am of American Thanksgiving, and it's not even close. So, but yeah, and then it would start up again right after January to run through until May. So that it was like a full year's worth of just little breaks, and then they would take the summer off. But now it was like 6
over here. I had never experienced a mid-season break until I started watching American TV.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because they'll just do the shorter ones.
Well, we do. We have like 12-episode seasons and whatever over here, you know. But we didn't really have anything that ran for like 24 episodes. But yeah, so it just. But what that means is, you know, they only had 6 episodes. I think they thought there were going to be 7 episodes, and then they were pushed back. You know, they were pushed a week later, so then they only had 6 episodes. But that's why a lot of people were mad about the first Emergency taking essentially 4 episodes. I mean, it doesn't count. But you've used up 4 episodes of what is essentially a 6-episode season on that one thing, you know, and then you get to dive into, you know. But again, this is the kind of 911 I like, where it's just normal emergencies, and, you know, this is my favourite 911. Opening emergencies are not, I think. This is my 911. People getting their fingers chopped off by a rope. I just love it. Give it to me.
Okay, what was the thing you wanted to tell me about in the other show?
So I was watching High Potential, and there was a scene where, and I'm going to make a video about it, obviously. There was a scene where they were talking to like a spiritual advisor, and it turned out that, you know, like Morgan wasn't really into any of this stuff. She thought it was all nonsense. And the spiritual advisor said to her, she said, well, I'm not under arrest, so I'd like you to leave my house and take your closed hearts with you. This is a sacred space. And Morgan says, this is a bungalow in whatever area of Los Angeles it is. They walk out of the house. It's a 2-story house. Now, I'm in the UK, and sometimes words mean different things in America. So I immediately... Oh, wait a second, I'm going to have to put a jigsaw piece in. We've been on this live for too long. I did it. I passed. I'm not a robot. And so I Googled bungalow meaning US. And they were like, it's a one-story house. Sometimes it's built up into the roof and you get like a dormer window and that. And I was like, okay, so same as over here. So a bungalow is a 1-story house. So I went back and watched it, and you can see as they're walking out of the room that they're talking to this woman in, the beautiful vaulted ceiling she has with exposed beams. And then they walk out of a 2-story house. Now, that second story must be so weird, because either you have to walk up and down a hill inside of it, or it's only this tall because it's built at the top of the vaulted ceiling. Yeah. So where was that mistake made? Because did they add that line in? And they didn't have her in the script when the location people were going out? Because they shoot the inside somewhere else to where they shoot the outsides. That's always how it works. That's why you spend a lot of times going, oh my God, this house is like, it's like a TARDIS. Because when they walk out of it, it doesn't look like it could fit all those rooms in, you know. But never before have I seen so obviously a one-story house turn into a two-story house when they walked out of it. That was mind-blowing magic. She really is a supervisor. He is.
It has to be something like they shot the scenes way far apart, like weeks apart maybe, and they'd shot the interiors already and they had to shoot the exteriors, and they were already in that, again, budget probably. They're already in the neighborhood, so for some other reason, shoot some other part of the show, and they said, okay, we need a house for them to walk out of, and somebody forgot it was supposed to be a bungalow. Yeah. So somebody's job was to like keep track of that and say, oh yeah. Like even like look at the
script supervisor.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So that person just didn't do their job. I forgot.
I was really trying to make it not their fault. You know, like I was like, maybe, genuinely maybe, they didn't have that line in the script. When the location people went out and scouted a house and they filmed the outside of that house, because they might have filmed that bit first, you know, you never know. And then when they were in it, maybe Caitlin Olsen like threw that line out and they were like, that's very funny. We'll keep that in. And the location were like, no! This is going to look terrible. But it really, that's one of my favorite things I've ever seen.
But even the disconnect between the locations, the vaulted ceiling versus the walking of the outside, like that's something that they should have been on the same page for that. That's not something that should have happened, right?
Yeah. It was because often, you know, if they're shooting like not in an actual building, you never see the ceiling because they can't show it because all the lights are there, you know, because there's no ceiling. But this one was like that. It was almost as though they were going, look at this beautiful ceiling. And then they walked out of a two-story house. Oh my God. That made my week, that did. Very pleased. So what else have you been watching?
I watched last night. We watched a movie called Heaven Can Wait. It's an older film, 1943. I want to say. Are you familiar with this movie?
Yes. Did they remake it?
Yeah. I believe there's a remake with like Warren Beatty or something like that. I don't know, or somebody. I have a vision of Warren Beatty in it, but I've definitely seen Heaven Can Wait, a newer version.
Douglas. Who directed it?
I don't know who directed it. It was the movie stars. The one I watched stars Don Amici, who I used to call Don Mesh, until I learned how to say his name. And but he's younger. And the funny thing is that he ages throughout the story of this. So as the movie goes on, he becomes more and more familiar to me because I knew him as an old man when we were younger, right? Don Amici was in all these movies, like Cocoon and some other films, like I think he's in Batteries Not Included. And he
love
like,
Batteries.
Just was great older actor, but he was young in this. And the whole story is that at the beginning of the movie kind of reminds me of The Good Place, because this guy, he dies and he's in basically the waiting room for hell. He's talking to the devil about his life. And so this is the part where he's like got to sit there and discuss his life with the devil, and the devil decides whether or not he goes into hell or sends him back and send him back up because he's not supposed to be there. And so the whole movie is Don Amici basically telling the devil his life story, and he is awful. He's an awful person. He's a little spoiled brat to start with, and he runs around in these short pants, and he's just kind of awful. And what does he do? Oh, he gets drunk with their French maid or something like that, and gets something like and they I think they imply something else happens. I don't know if they do. I can't remember. Maybe I just implied that to myself. But anyway, and then it jumps ahead 10 years. Basically, the film jumps ahead every 10 years in which something happens, and it always centers around his birthday. So every 10 years around his birthday is the events of his life. So I kind of like that structure of it. So it starts when he's 15. At 25, his cousin is engaged to be married, and this is a very upscale like New York society, right? This is like the Gilded Age kind of thing, and so they are.
I was definitely thinking of a different film when you said Heaven Can Wait. So carry on.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah.
What it was, but
No, but it has been remade. Like there is a remake called Heaven Can Wait. There's a newer film, so maybe
yes,
that is
but
what you think.
I'm thinking of something else, which is like Douglas Sirkland of, I don't know, very famous, very rich, lots of, and it's definitely not this film. So yeah, I don't think I've seen this one. So carry on.
This one is it's really interesting. At 20, so his cousin is getting married to this well-to-do girl, good family. She comes from it's a family that owns like a farm or some kind of agricultural company in Nebraska. I want to say somewhere in the middle of the U.S. Kind of reminded me of Pan Am in a lot of ways, because of the arranged marriages and the proper society stuff and all that thing. And so he rolls it. So his cousin, they're having this big party with this girl there. And meanwhile, the main character, Don Amici's character, comes back and he's fallen in love because he's run into this woman that that he's met somewhere, and he's talking to his dad about it, and he's fallen in love. And it turns out it's this woman that was going to get married to his cousin. And he doesn't know it until he walks in the room and he sees her. And I to do it. And they've had one encounter, and they show it. They show it in a flashback later on. He like walks up to her at the phone, at the payphone, and like approaches her and just basically like tries to pick up on her. And she oh no, he pretends to be, it's at a bookstore. He follows her into a bookstore and he pretends to be working at the bookstore. And she wants to buy a book that's called How to Please Your Husband. That's the book she wants to buy. And he doesn't want her to buy it because he doesn't want her to get married, because he wants her for himself. And so then later on he learns, it's a little bit, the story's a little weird, but then later on he learned that it's his cousin's bride to be. And so does he respectfully back off? No, he rushes in and like convinces her to run away with him. And it's the weirdest
Should
thing.
be in hell.
Well, yeah, he should. But he's sitting there, like she walks in, she gets kicked out. And there's all kinds of little funny moments. Like there's really clever comedy. The dialogue is really kind of snappy. There's some repeated dialogue that works really well. And so she's been kicked out. There's this big party, and there's this woman, what's it, Mrs. Cooper. Mrs. Super Cooper is her name. And she's an awful singer, but she's been singing this aria, and she's doing it. But then the fiance keeps sneezing during it, so he kicks her out. The cousin kicks her out, and then she goes into the room with Don Amici's characters in there. He's just kind of creepily sitting in the corner, and he's like, I must have you, blah, blah, blah. He goes on and on about how amazing she is, and he's like, do you love me? Do you love me? You don't have to think what it's love and all this. I'm like, yeah, you do. Don't.
And it's been 20 minutes.
Exactly. It was very, very a high pressure situation, and she bows to the pressure. So she runs off with him, and he literally picks her up and runs out the door with her. And then I'm going to flash forward 10 years later. They have a child now, a son, who is just exactly like his father. And no, sorry, the son is not like his father. The son's more like the mother. The mother is nice, and she's not as bad. She kind of balances him. But she has left him. She leaves him after 10 years and goes back home to Nebraska. And then he chases after her and then convinces her to come back again. And she's like sitting there with her parents. And like she was like her parents, and they had disowned her for leaving the fiance. So they convinced her to come back.
That he's a very charming guy, and he's going to also charm his way out of hell. Like,
that's right. That's pretty much what happens. A bit of a spoiler, but yeah, he doesn't end up going to hell in the end, because he's had all these great, I don't know, intentions behind this stuff. It's very, very confusing. It was a very clean movie.
Isn't that literally the saying? The way the path to hell is paved with good intentions. Isn't that literally?
That's right. That's right. You're good. That's a very good point. Anyway, I enjoyed it. It's like not a satisfying ending, but it's still like a fun movie, and it's a good example for the time. I wish I knew who directed it, but it was we just really kind of liked the idea, and we just finished watching The Good Place, which is a great TV show.
Yeah.
That it's amazing. And so this is like The Good Place in the 40s. It kind of was. It was like a very interesting premise. So cool.
I had a film night with my mom and our friend Jill, and her new cat Henry. That was my main exciting thing about that. But we watched a film called Shirley Valentine. I don't know if you've ever heard.
Yeah, I know that one.
And it's so good. It's so good. But the minute it started, she's talking to the camera, and I was like, oh, this is a one-woman show. This is a play. Like that was it's clearly this is a one-woman show that they've turned into a film. And so often I find they don't adapt well from stage to screen. This is so good. The way the choices that they make about which scenes to show and which characters to add and stuff. And I was just howling. It is so funny. And it's still relevant today. You know, this poor woman who just looks after her husband like he's a child, you know, and how just badly treated she is by her entire family. And I just adored it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I'm so disappointed that I didn't see it. I haven't seen it before. But what I also loved was I was looking into the play, you know, and Pauline Collins, because that's the reason we watched it, because Pauline Collins passed away like last week or something. And I was like, hey, I've never seen Shirley Valentine. We should watch that. And yes, she played Shirley Valentine on stage. It started out in Liverpool. And then it went to London. It went to the West End, and that's where Pauline Collins played it. Then she won an Olivier Award. Then she went over to Broadway, played it on Broadway, won a Tony Award. Then she went and played it on film, and she was nominated for an Oscar, and she won a BAFTA, and she was nominated for a Golden Globe. You know, she was 49.
Wow.
The next year, she was named as sexiest woman in Britain, and I just think that's fabulous. She was 50. And she'd been playing this put-upon housewife in a house coat, you know, like, just, like, really struggling with herself and her identity. And then she goes off and has this fabulous holiday that changes her life, you know, and it's just, I was just so pleased for her. But the best thing I read was when they first did it in Liverpool, the woman who was playing Shirley got sick. They didn't have an understudy for her, which is incredible because she's the only person. So you'd think you need to make sure that you had someone there. So for 3 weeks in Liverpool, Willie Russell played the part. He's the writer. He played the part of Shirley Valentine. For 3 weeks. Imagine turning up and being like, oh, do you want to go and see this one-woman show that's actually a man? Wait a second, what? And he performed it for 3, and I just think that must have been absolutely terrific to see. Really fun. So yeah, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. So charming, so funny. And the tonal shift of it, like they really, one of my favorite moments of Cabaret. Have you seen the movie of Cabaret?
I've never seen it, but I know which one you're talking about.
It's the scene where you're seeing like a dead body on the street, and you know there's just sadness everywhere, like it's just awful. And then it cuts to Sally and Michael York, I can't remember, Cliff, and the other guy laughing hysterically. And just that cut it's so jarring, like, you know, or it cuts the other way. I can't remember which way, but either, you know, it's so like really jarring. And Shirley Valentine is so brilliantly written because she'll say something that's so like self-deprecating or funny or just a throwaway line, and then the next line is devastating, like just internalizing something so horrible. And she says it all lighthearted, you know. The delivery is so good. So yeah, I would highly recommend Shirley Valentine. It was genuinely brilliant. I loved it.
Good.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, we have 8 weeks off now, so we can take 8 weeks off. But I do like the idea of watching Backdraft. So I've not seen that since.
Yeah, maybe we should make a list. We'll continue this conversation on in the chat and figure out maybe some movies or something to watch during the break.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant.
Cool.
Well, thanks for watching Family History with me, and I will see you when I see you. Maybe next week.